Hello guys and welcome. Today I am going to be sharing with you a Father's Day card. I am going to be trying to make a series even though Father's Day will be here before we know it. But today we are going to be using this stamp set by Lawn Fawn called Plain and Simple. And I am going to use this frame that I had already cut with an Avery Elle die, and this is one of my favorites. It's called Wonky Stitches. And I am going to be stamping the images using VersaFine Onyx Black ink onto some Bristol Smooth paper. This is one of my favorites to use when I am using my Zig markers because the paper just kind of blends. It's very nice and smooth when you are trying to blend the colors. So I like using this paper for that. Now when I am making a card, or if I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna make, or to maybe make multiples, I always like to stamp a few of the images at the same time, just in case, because I could mess up, or I could not like how one looks, or or like better the way another one looks. So that's why I like to stamp it more. So now I'm also stamping the sentiment, or one of the sentiments that says "You're the best" onto these little banners. And these little banners are meant to be so that the little airplane is dragging them across the sky. I also stamped a couple of the cloud patterns, and this stamp set actually has 3 different sizes. So it has those two, these 2 sizes and a smaller one. Now, like I said, I am using my Zig Clean Color markers to color them, and I am just doing basic coloring using two different shades, a lighter and a darker. So I first go around and put in a layer of color using the lighter marker, and then I am using a little bit darker marker just to add a little bit of shading. Then I go back with my lighter marker and blend it so that way you don't have those harsh lines in there. And this is my favorite way of coloring because it's very quick and simple, and it does look nice. Obviously without the extra work of trying to blend 3 different colors, but this is one of my favorite ways to doing it. Now I wanted to make a blue airplane, and I decided to use these 2 colors, but now that I was looking at it, or when I looked at it afterwards, I didn't really like the combination, or because it was too similar and it was too light, so I ended up not using that little airplane. But I kind of left it here anyway, so I went ahead and added some gray for the coloring, or to add a little bit of the shadow, but still I didn't like how that looked. Now I was thinking about coloring my other airplane a different color, but I decided to use this too. So I am using this yellow, and I think it's like a bright yellow, and then this darker color is called mustard yellow, and I am using that for the shading again. I like how the yellow airplane looks like. Where my husband used to be a flight instructor, the the airplane or the airport where he was working, they used to have one of these Beechcraft airplanes, and it was just so pretty to look at. So it was yellow, so that reminds me of that, and I thought that this little plane looked like that. So now he will probably correct me on the specific name of this airplane or type of airplane, but we're just gonna call it the beach aircraft. So for my banners, I did blue and gray. So I added a little bit of the blue to add a dimension, or where the waves of the banner would be. And then for my clouds, I used the same light gray to add a layer around it, or the outline. And with my water brush, I just came in and just kind of blended it out, so that way you don't have those harsh lines. So I just finished that out, and now to cut them out, I decided to use the coordinating dies. So I am going to be using my little prism machine. I think I had shown you this before on my haul, and I don't remember if I showed it on a video or not, but this little guy sits on my desk, so that way I could do die cutting. It is so handy when you are doing small little die cuts like this, because my platinum Spellbinders Platinum, it is pretty big, and even to put it on camera, I can't do it because it's so large. And when I'm doing little things like this little machine is a rock star. So here I am putting them in there, and I am just going to be rolling it and cutting them out, and it cuts like a charm. So it's really good. Cuts, does the really clean cuts. And I was kind of a little bit off on that one, but it's okay because for what I'll be doing. Now, like I said, I wasn't sure at this point when I was doing the die cutting if I was going to use that little airplane or not, but I went ahead and die cut it just in case, I decided to use it, or if maybe I wanted to use it for a different card. So I just go ahead and die cut that as well. and have it onto the side. So I'll just go through the process of die cutting all of the items, and then now I am going to be doing or working on the background. So we're going to be using some Distress Oxide inks, and this is called ink smooshing, I believe. I am using a piece of packaging to use this, and this works super perfect. I just added a piece of white cardstock, and I have my little mixing palette there. I used two different colors of the Distress Oxide, a lighter and a darker, and I was looking for something in the middle, and I didn't have it in Distress Oxide, so I just grabbed one of those little mini Distress ink cubes. I just sprayed some water, and then I'm going to dab my panel onto it, just kind of smush it there. Now I was just here trying to play with the movement of the water and the color to see what I would like. Now, because this is for a sky scene, I didn't want those little drips to be there, so I went ahead and grabbed my heat gun to kind of speed up the drying process, and I went back and kind of smushed it in there a little bit more, just till I was happy with the result. So I did that off camera. I was originally going to leave the audio, or as I was doing the video, but my kids were home and it just kind of ended up being too loud, so I decided to do a voiceover after. But here it is. Once I was happy with the how the background looked, I went ahead and dried it some more, and then that's what I decided to keep it. So here it is. It does warp a little bit, but once you glue it and put everything in there, it'll be like nothing happened. So here I'm just adding a little bit of that color. You want to use all the ink that you put in there, but you want to just make sure that it looks right. And the problem with this sometimes is I don't know when to stop, but I kind of was happy with how this looked, so I went ahead and kept going. Now here I am stamping those little banners one more time, because I don't know if you noticed on my first one I made a boo-boo. I stamped them the opposite way. So my airplane is going to the right, and I stamped my banners going to the left. So here we are. I just restamped them, recolored them, same process, same technique, and did the same thing. I just went ahead and die cut them. And again, I'm going to spare you from that, but I just wanted to show you here that everybody makes mistakes, and I did realize it when I was trying to put the card together. So anyway, so those were ones that I wasn't going to be able to use, and I am here trying to cut them all out. Now with this stamp set, or this die set, you do always want to put in, I don't think I mentioned that before, but most of you know that you want to hold it in place using like some type of washi or some tape, because the dice would move when you put the plate on top of the other, and you don't want those to move because it will mess up your the cutting. It'll just be off. And here I apologize, I thought I had left these out of the video, but here we are die cutting again. Hey, hello my little hairs. So anyway, it was a lot of fun cutting these ones, but I was trying to think, I know Father's Day will be here before we know it, and I haven't really started making any cards for that, so I thought that I'd share with you one of the cards I make. I will be making a few more for the fathers in our lives to send out, but yeah, I don't know that I'll be filming all of them, but I'll probably post some pictures on Instagram. So if you're not following me there, go ahead, and I would love to have you visit me, and that way you can stay more up to date with some pictures and things, because I don't always make videos of the items or the things that I do. So I would love to have you there for sure. So here we are, and now that I have it ready, we're going to be putting this card together. So super exciting. Another thing I like about these dice is that it cuts the center, so they look really, really nice. Now here to use, I wanted to put the word dad in, incorporated somewhere in my card. So I am using this stamp set, and this is a recollection stamp set from Michaels. That's a little bit of like distressed alpha letters. I don't remember if it has a name or not, but it probably doesn't. But this is what I'm using, and so I am just stamping it, a few times, the letters D and A for dad. I think I just stamped them 4 times each, which I don't know why I did that, because for dad you need 2 D's and only 1 A. So anyway, I used this calligraphy pen to kind of color in a little bit of the distress because I wanted to be able to see those letters a little bit more. So I am just adding a little bit, still leaving some of the distress in some areas, but I wanted to add or complete the letters a little bit more. So you can use a Sharpie for these as well, but you know, this is what I had handy. So that is what I am using. And just kind of adding on all of them. Like I said, I like doing things in assembly line style because, you know, you just kind of keep doing one thing and do the same so you don't come back and repeat yourself. So since my pen was out, I decided to go ahead and color in the A's and the D's, and then just went around and did all of that. And now for this is when a die cut will also come in handy, but because I don't have one, I decided to just go ahead and fussy cut them, and I used just my little Westcott scissors. And these little ones are very nice. They're pointy and they cut they're very sharp and they cut really nicely. So here are my letters cut out, and then I'm just trying to decide, you know, play with the placement. I kind of had an idea of where I wanted or how I wanted it to be, but you know, sometimes that all ends up changing. Now I wanted to add a little bit more of the sentiments. So this set has a lot of cute little sentiments for birthday, congratulations, graduation, different things. But it does have for Father's Day. So I decided to use my Distress Oxide to stamp, and these are, you know, work really great to stamp as well. So I did that. So I'm going to put the word dad at the top, and it says you're the best. And then I am using the sentiment that says plain and simple. So I decided to put it alongside instead of one on top of the other. That's basically all I'm doing here. Now I am going to be using this card base, and this is heavyweight. It's kind of like a blue, sky blue color, and that's what my card base is going to be. So I am just going to be using, just making sure it will look good, using my ATG gun to add some tape, some adhesive all around. And I like to go and then maybe, you know, do a couple of lines across the middle. This is a very strong tape, so it's nice. Now before I did that, I actually decided to add a little bit of a frame of that red, just to kind of incorporate the red from the word dad onto the card. So I went ahead and added this with a very thin border around it, and here I am just going to trim it out to match on the sides. And I am using my Tonic Studio little trimmer. This thing is so handy. It is small, you know, you can only cut papers that are, you know, smaller. You can't do a 12 by 12, but it works for what I needed to do. So there, that's perfect. And now as I'm adding the tape in here, it works good. I decided to kind of wiggle it a little bit because it was still a bit warped. But once you glue all the layers together, like, you can't even see it. So now we're going to work on the inside of the card. And for the inside, I was kind of wondering what to put. So I did decide to put the Happy Father's Day sentiment that comes with the set. And it is a very small words, but you know, I decided to use it anyway. So here I'm just trying to kind of see where the placement would be, and you know, trying to decide if I center it or not. You know, that's part of the design process. I did decide to center it, and then I decided to add the other little airplane inside, a couple of clouds, but that pretty much completed my card. If you'd like to see more details and more still photos, go ahead and visit my blog linked below. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you on the next one. Have a great day. Bye bye.